Good morning. My name is Hermann Fasching, and I'm the Chief Inspector of Mineral Mines and Quarries and also the Chief Inspector for Explosives. The key messages that I want to speak about today in relation to the explosives sector today are access to explosives, security clearances, digitising licence applications, explosives licensing, industry incidents, engineering controls, the misfire guideline, and finally a focus on the year ahead. We are all aware of the tragic loss of the life that can occur when the wrong people have access to dangerous products. Our current legislation, which requires that anyone who has unrestricted access to explosives holds a security clearance, was triggered by an event in 2015 that resulted in the deaths of 2 children. Security clearance holders are required to tell their employer and the Inspectorate about any changes to their criminal history or domestic violence status that could invalidate their clearance. This includes being convicted or charged with a relevant offence such as assault, violence, threats of violence, theft or drugs misuse, are named as a respondent in a domestic violence order or police protection notice, or have a domestic violence related release conditions imposed. The Queensland Police Service notify the Inspectorate when a security clearance holder is charged with an offence. To assist employers, the Inspectorate has implemented a 24/7 monitoring system where employers can check the status of their employees on the web. Employers must have in place a system to routinely check and confirm that their employees and contractors have the necessary valid security clearances and authorities. As an industry, we must ensure that every effort is made to prevent the wrong people from having access to dangerous products. The Inspectorate receive approximately 250 security clearance applications per month. 23%, or almost 1/4 of those, have a disclosable criminal history, which requires a more in-depth review. This financial year alone, 29 security clearance applications have been refused, with a further 28 suspended and 27 cancelled, primarily due to domestic violence-related matters. As I previously highlighted, this reinforces the need for employers to have a system which routinely checks that their employees and contractors have the necessary valid security clearances and authorities. Many explosives licence applications received by the Inspectorate are incomplete and contain incorrect information. This results in significant increases in processing time for applications and rework for applicants. To remedy this, we have recently introduced changes to the way that people apply for licences. Smart forms replace the old PDF application forms for new licence applications. They are interactive and dynamic online forms that streamline the application submission process. They allow applicants to partially complete and save forms and come back later to finalise them. The forms contain mandatory fields which must be completed. Incomplete applications cannot be submitted. The smart forms also utilise the B-point payment system, negating the need for cheques or over-the-phone payment systems. And the introduction of the smart forms is the first stage in ultimately moving towards digital licensing. The Inspectorate is increasingly being contacted by licence holders who are requesting urgent processing of renewals and applications. I want to reinforce that applications are processed in the order in which they are received. The Explosives Inspectorate processes approximately 120 new and renewal licence applications per month. Most licence applications are processed within 20 business days. Renewal notifications are sent out to authority holders 3 months prior to the expiry, and there's a reminder also sent out 28 days prior to expiry. Authority holders who allow their licences to expire cannot apply for a renewal and must apply for a new licence. It is the authority holder's responsibility to complete and submit their applications in a timely manner before the expiry of their existing licence. I want to spend some time talking about incidents and what the Inspectorate is seeing. Misfires and vehicle incidents are dominant this financial year. 67% of incident reports were misfires and 12% were vehicle incidents. Of concern are reports of unplanned initiation of explosives, and in particular 2 significant misfires that resulted from unknown issues with electronic initiation systems. Maintenance or failed mechanical parts are significant contributors to the number of vehicle incidents. 1/3 of vehicle incidents are as a result of ineffective maintenance. The photo that you can see shows an incident involving a fire in the engine bay of a stemming loader. It was only 10 metres away from a loaded blast hole. The loader was not fitted with automatic fire suppression system, and the operator struggled to fight the fire using extinguishers. As industry leaders, you must ensure that when incidents are reported, these are thoroughly investigated and that effective preventative and mitigating controls are implemented and monitored. The Brady Review noted that industry goes through alternating periods of increased and reduced vigilance and recommended that industry should recognise that the causes of fatalities are typically a combination of banal, everyday, straightforward factors such as a failure of controls, a lack of training, and or absent or inadequate supervision. The review also noted that industry needs to focus on ensuring the effectiveness and enforcement of controls to manage hazards. Industry is increasingly utilising electronic detonation systems, which are an engineering control, as these offer a higher level of risk reduction when compared to electric and non-electric blasting systems. One of the benefits is the reduction in the likelihood of unintended initiations. The photograph that you can see shows 60 blast holes not firing due to an incorrect synchronisation setting on an electronic blast box. This engineering control failure was caused when one of the shot crew accidentally changed the synchronisation setting on the blast box, which resulted in those 60 holes failing to receive a firing signal. At another site, an incident involving electronic detonators resulted in 947 detonators not receiving a firing signal. This occurred when the shot crew utilised incompatible electronic detonators in the same shot. The message for industry leaders from these incidents is that when engineering controls are implemented, change management processes in consultation with manufacturers must be undertaken. The workers are trained and understand how the controls function, and that adequate supervision is in place to ensure the controls are implemented and are effective. And more detailed information on these incidents has been published in the Inspectorate quarterly reports. One of the other areas of concern for the Inspectorate is that during investigations, industry is often failing to identify the root cause of misfires, such as dislocation, slumping, downline cut or bulk product failure. And this is unacceptable. If the root cause is not identified and addressed, then future misfires can't be prevented. To assist industry in reducing misfires, the Inspectorate published the Best Practice Guideline for the Prevention of Misfires in December 2022. The current version of the Best Practice Guideline was primarily focused on surface operations and applications. The Inspectorate intends to commence a review which will take underground operations into greater consideration. Expressions of interest have been called for and received, and we are reviewing applications. It is anticipated that a working group will start the review in June of 2023. I ask that you support the working group and openly share information with them. And finally, in the coming year, the focus areas that the Explosives Inspectorate will include seeking an increase in reporting of near-miss incidents, as these are learning opportunities. A reduction in repeat events, particularly where controls are either not effective or have not been implemented fully. A focus on the selection and application of higher order controls such as elimination, substitution, isolation or engineering. And when reviewing investigation reports, the Inspectorate will be looking to see higher order controls being applied and will challenge sites who have not considered or applied these controls. Humans make mistakes. The systems and controls identified and implemented must be error tolerant. A person should not be seriously injured or killed because they made a simple error. Thank you for taking the time to listening to my presentation.